Here at the Lepanto Institute, we conduct deep dive investigations on a myriad of organizations claiming the name Catholic, and this includes, on several occasions, reports on serious problems at Catholic relief services. Because we've been focusing our recent efforts on the Campaign for Human Development and other projects, we hadn't had any plans to say anything about CRS at this time. But then, Bishop Caggiano, the current chairman of Catholic Relief Services, sent out a memo to his brother bishops about us. And, well, we just can't let his misrepresentation of the facts and outright falsehoods go by without a response. Coming up on this special report from the Lepanto Institute. On January 22nd of this year, Bishop Frank Caggiano, primate for the Diocese of Bridgeport, Connecticut, and current chairman of the board for Catholic Relief Services, sent a letter to his brother bishops, hoping to preempt any new reports we may have pending on Catholic Relief Services. He wrote this: "Every Lent, certain provocateurs spread false allegations against CRS in order to disrupt the Rice Bowl Lenten program and do their own fundraising. These allegations are not new and rely on misleading interpretations, inaccurate information, or innuendo. I am saddened that these individuals and groups associated with them continue to launch these divisive and misleading attacks. During this Lent, you may receive inquiries from parishioners or others in your communities about these sorts of unfounded claims." The next paragraph blathers on about CRS's rigorous screening process, and then he wrote, "Similar past attacks a few years ago prompted the USCCB Administrative Committee to issue a statement affirming its full support for CRS and declaring that these critics do not speak for the Catholic Church. Over the years, CRS Bishop Board members, accompanied by members of the NCBC and CRS executive team, have sought to explain our work to these detractors. We have concluded that they are not interested in fraternal dialogue. Rather, responding directly to their false allegations only provides more material they misinterpret, twist, or mischaracterize." Accusing us of not being interested in fraternal dialogue is laughable. I've been investigating CRS for 10 years now, and during that time, I provided the executive heads, including the Bishop Chairman of CRS, hard evidence of grave moral problems with CRS's programs, while we were still in discussions anyway, and I did this prior to publishing anything. But from the very first instant I indicated that I was even sniffing around CRS's projects, CRS did everything to smear my name and my findings. In May of 2011, I was still working for American Life League, and I published a video report that anecdotally mentioned that CRS's president, Ken Hackett, had given a glowing review of Jeffrey Sachs's contraception-promoting book, The End of Poverty. Hackett went ballistic, sending a fax to the entire board of directors at American Life League, accusing me of inflammatory and inaccurate attacks on CRS that hurt Christ's poor. Here's what he wrote: "Dear Mrs. Brown, as you are aware, Mr. Michael Hitchborn of your staff has launched an investigation on your behalf into the actions and associations of Catholic Relief Services. His inflammatory and accusatory attacks on CRS are inaccurate and are hurtful to our mission of service to Christ's poor. We welcome reasonable, constructive criticism, but the inaccuracies, exaggerations, and untruths promoted on the ALL site defame good and faithful CRS employees and undermine the responsible service of charity and justice of the Church." Publicly, all that we'd published was my video report on Sachs and the support that he was getting from Catholic institutions. Privately, I had already met with Bishop Gerald Kakanis, who was then chairman of the CRS board, and I told him what I was looking into. but that information was not public, and I hadn't even arrived at any real conclusions. So right from the beginning of my investigations, CRS has shown itself to be completely hostile to what I was looking at and not at all open to criticisms or concerns. And for the record, Your Excellency, I'm not the one who cut off dialogue and discussion. CRS is. It should be noted that Bishop Caggiano said that CRS would not be responding directly to our false allegations because it only provides more material that he says we misinterpret, twist, or mischaracterize. Funny thing about that, CRS has never responded directly to the evidence, but only issues sweeping claims that what we've reported on is wrong, while providing few unsubstantiated claims about their version of events. And even after meeting with CRS in person, showing them everything that we had collected, and being promised answers to what we had found, CRS has never once provided a credible explanation showing why our information was inaccurate. Here's a prime example. Last spring, the Lepanto Institute published 6 highly detailed reports about CRS documents and programs in Africa. We proved that CRS had produced and published a series of documents that directly promote condom use. We proved that CRS was the manager of an internet resource library that housed documents that promote abortion, contraception, and homosexuality. We proved that CRS implemented 2 health referral networks, one in Cameroon and one in Nigeria, that included abortion and contraception providers. We proved that CRS implemented a program called DREAMS, which was designed with the specific goal of pushing contraception on young girls. And we proved that CRS implemented 2 curriculums that included components that heavily promoted abortion, contraception, and even masturbation. After the publication of our first report, the one on CRS's documents promoting condoms, Bishop Caggiano circulated a letter to his brother bishops addressing and dismissing our report. In his letter, Bishop Caggiano wrote this: "I'm writing to inform you that once again, a Catholic blogger has launched an aggressive campaign against Catholic Relief Services, accusing the organization of not adhering to Catholic doctrine." He released what he calls Part 1 of a series of attacks on March 2nd in an attempt to disrupt the CRS Rice Bowl campaign and raise funds for his own cause. Full stop. Your Excellency, if I wanted to be making big money, I would work at CRS rather than issue reports on it. Your 9 highest paid employees alone collectively make $2.6 million a year. To put that into perspective, your annual Rice Bowl campaign in 2019 pulled in $8.4 million, which means 31% of those pennies and dimes scraped together by children and old women comprise the salaries of 9 people. No, I'm not in this for the money, and I've told CRS on multiple occasions that if you'd stop propping up the enemies of the church and implementing their wicked programs, we'd have nothing to report. Moving on, Bishop Caggiano says, "While these reports may appear startling and perhaps even authentic, many of you know that the allegations have to date been shown to be unfounded. The way in which these allegations are presented is not in good Christian faith, and what's more, use distasteful and doctored imagery in an effort to deceive people with information taken out of context." Again, full stop. Doctored imagery? Your Excellency, we've provided screenshots of every document that we've cited, backing up 100% everything that we've said about CRS's documents and their programs. The only thing that we've added to those images are red lines and arrows to emphasize key facts. But Bishop Caggiano then closes by telling his brother bishops that CRS will provide statements and talking points to respond to inquiries from parishioners. Attached to this letter was an addendum attempting to exonerate CRS from the guilt of the condom promoting documents that we caught it publishing. Here, we will address some of the major points of this addendum. At the beginning of the addendum, CRS claims that, quote, most of these critiques have already been addressed as they are recycled from previous years. Since we had never addressed these documents before, as they were only a year old or so by the time our report came out, it's hard to figure how CRS can truthfully assert that these are recycled reports. The addendum then provides some background on the 4 Children program, which was at the center of our report, and then actually admits that our report did show that CRS produced condom promoting documents. It says this: CRS has established a thorough review process to ensure all documents and materials produced would be reviewed at the country and regional level with headquarters support as needed. In addition, CRS proactively included clauses in our contracts with other organizations to ensure project branding would not be used without prior approval. Despite these efforts, there were instances when documents produced by other organizations as part of this consortium did not align with Catholic teaching. For example, in the 2018 Democratic Republic of Congo documents, a presentation and manual, authored by consortium staff, were produced and posted online using standardized branding templates without following the authorized review protocol CRS requires. When CRS learned these materials included unacceptable content, we immediately removed and corrected them. The consortium members were then reminded of our contracts and procedures, and they were provided additional training on our Catholic approach based on our Catholic teaching and identity. In other words, Your Excellency, our allegations were not false. CRS did, in fact, publish condom-promoting documents. Incidentally, I waited a full year for an explanation from CRS staff after submitting these documents to them and never received one. But in this letter, CRS went on to actually defend the information on condoms that it included in multiple other documents, claiming that it didn't constitute promotion. The addendum claims this: in other documents, the reference to condoms is criticized. Condoms are the go-to response for other HIV prevention efforts globally. CRS is one of the only voices in the field today that continues to promote abstinence and fidelity as the means for HIV prevention. CRS recognizes that many people in the communities we are serving have heard far more about condoms than abstinence and fidelity, and we tackle this head-on in our HIV prevention work. Our approach over the last decade has been to provide appropriate and scientifically accurate information on HIV, highlighting abstinence and mutual fidelity, and including the failure rate associated with condom use, as there is a misconception that they are 100% effective. Now, wait a second. Let's take a quick look at some of the appropriate and scientifically accurate information you're providing, like this document titled HIV Information Training Manual for Adolescent Girls and Young Women. This document bears CRS's copyright for the year 2018 and was written by several CRS employees and an employee of CRS's implementing partner, Maestral International. Beginning on page 11, the manual provides instructions on an activity designed to educate participants on the various means by which HIV is transmitted from person to person. Included in the activity is a chart of various situations, and participants are supposed to address each by asking, is this activity a risk or no risk for getting HIV? The 9th point listed is vaginal sex without a condom, implying that not using a condom is part of the risk. The answer key to this activity, found on page 16, explains that such an activity is a risk and that using a condom consistently and correctly is, quote, 98% effective at preventing HIV transmission. Look, When you tell someone that not using a condom is risky and that condoms are 98% effective, you're promoting condom use no matter how you square it. Hiding behind some bogus claim that you're just providing scientifically and medically accurate information on condoms is just window dressing for the ugly truth. CRS is refusing to give morally accurate information on the use of condoms while propping them up with glowing statistics. But just months before our report came out, CRS produced a program kit for HIV-sensitive case management. Bearing CRS's copyright, the Case Management SOP Manual provided an achievement benchmark that included identifying using a condom as a valid means of avoiding HIV. And Counseling Card 10 of the kit stated that the core idea was, quote, delaying sex, limiting the number of sexual partners, and always using a condom are good practices. Telling vulnerable young people that always using a condom is a good practice is inappropriate no matter how you spin it, Your Excellency. And we found dozens of these documents with CRS copyright outright promoting condom use. This doesn't speak to a problem of oversight, but an integral and systematic problem within the program itself. And considering the fact that some of these documents were already 2 years old before we even discovered them, and more were published after we brought the matter to CRS's attention, this is a clear indication that CRS's 4 Children project is indeed promoting condoms. What's worse is that CRS's integration of the contraception-pushing DREAMS program within the 4 Children project and the use of known contraception-promoting curricula, the promotion of condoms in CRS-published documents, is clearly not a mistake or an oversight. Going back to the CRS memo, this portion is an outright lie. The project currently manages a website known as ovcsupport.org. OVC stands for Orphans and Vulnerable Children. This website was created by other organizations many years ago and has been hosted by multiple organizations, ultimately becoming a platform for the storage and sharing of thousands of documents related to OVC. 4 Children was asked by the previous host and the US government to host this website. As the host, CRS immediately began reviewing all documents that were on the website, and they removed those that were not in line with Catholic teaching, including materials that mentioned LGBT. Unfortunately, some web caches cannot be cleared completely, so some documents may still be associated with the site, even though they are no longer hosted on the site. We discovered about a dozen documents promoting abortion, more than 50 documents directly promoting the use and distribution of contraception, and around 150 promoting condoms, all on the website itself. These weren't web caches, they were active links at the ovcsupport.org website, and we found them using the OVC Support website's own search tool. So the claim that these documents were removed before we discovered them is a straight-up lie. Oh, and by the way, Your Excellency, the links to most of these documents are still active at the OVC website. All your people did was reprogram the site so they couldn't be found by searching through the OVC Support search tool, which means the resources will still be available for the next organization when CRS's term as proprietor of the site is over. Now, I want to go back to what Bishop Caggiano wrote in his recent letter. He said, responding directly to these false allegations only provides more material they misinterpret, twist, or mischaracterize. Your Excellency, I can understand why you wouldn't want to address the specifics in our reports from last year. It must be extremely difficult to figure out how to explain why CRS created a health referral network in Cameroon and in Nigeria that include organizations that both provide and promote abortion and contraception to young people. No doubt finding justification for sending girls to an organization called Renata, a group that admits to giving young girls contraception and taking them to have abortions for sexual and reproductive health services, is an impossible task. I can only imagine how difficult it must be to explain how CRS can justify being the lead implementing organization of the DREAMS project, which requires the promotion of contraception as one of the core package of interventions. Oh, I know CRS was able to carve out for itself an area that wasn't directly handling that part of the project. But the fact that the sizable grant that came with implementing this program was conditioned upon other organizations implementing the contraception promoting aspects makes CRS directly complicit. And I know you had an impossible task when it comes to explaining why CRS purchased and implemented the contraception promoting Go Girls and Aflatine curricula. It's not fair that you should walk into chairmanship of the board of CRS and have to face these realities right out of the gate. But it's equally unfair for you to outright dismiss all the information contained in our report, call me a liar, and claim that my only interest is raising funds at CRS's expense. We've never met, Your Excellency, but I will happily meet with you anytime to discuss our findings. But I make no assumptions about your intentions or your integrity, and as a prince of the church, I expect better of you.